so depression is one of those things that I think often get overlooked, and I think sometimes undermined how severely it could impact people and the lives of the way people function.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I we hear um, some of these stories about people tend to get over, like, I want to say over strengthified, like it's like, we look at how Jesus performed miracles in the lives of people, and it's almost like they earned their miracle,
Oh my
like
God.
we see like moments where the woman with the issue of blood, and she pressed, and and there's a lot of like, hey, if you would just press on, if you were to get desperate for God, if you would just do more, worship harder, sing louder, pray more, fast more, like you would get. And I think that it wasn't quite like that.
No.
It wasn't quite like that. It wasn't um as focused on the earnest devotion of the person. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
reminded of the disciples when Jesus asked why they couldn't perform a miracle, or they were confused as to why they couldn't perform a miracle. And he was talking, and he said, listen, it's like, if you have faith like a mustard seed, and just think that, like, he wanted to change perspective. Like, he wanted to, like, it's about your faith, not necessarily your faithfulness.
So good. So good. So good.
And so he goes, and then the disciples go like this. Literally, they go like this: Lord, increase our faith. you know there's another time in the Bible where a daughter is getting healed, and the father comes, and he's like, Jesus asks him, do you believe? He says, look what he says. He goes, Lord, I believe, help my
My
unbelief.
unbelief.
That's so powerful, because I think that most of our lives look like that. It's like, Lord, I believe, but help
Yeah.
my
My unbelief.
unbelief. Like,
Right.
it's walking on water. One moment, seconds later, I'm drowning. And at the end of the day, the same God that called me to walk on the water is the same God that's going to rescue me from the storm that I'm in.
Yes. Yes.
So it's all connected to Jesus. So I
Yeah.
say that to kind of paint the picture of when I'm dealing with depression, when I'm dealing with these either negative thoughts, when I'm dealing with this overwhelming sadness, I need to realize what's true in spite of my feelings.
That's good.
So I need to know what's true. So I want to say that there was one moment in my life where I felt overwhelmingly sad, and I couldn't figure out. Everything in life was going good, yet I was completely overwhelmed with sadness.
Yeah,
Not that it wasn't circumstantial. There wasn't anything around that was happening. Like, everything is good. My wife is good. My kids are good. My house is good. And I was just overwhelmingly sad. And there was particularly two things that really, 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 really helped me in the moment. So in the moment where your depression is overwhelming, number one is to hold on what is true over what you feel. So I hold on to what is true, and I remind myself of them. So in those moments, I'm like, I speak to myself, like David said, soul, rejoice in the Lord. He spoke to himself. He says, soul, worship the Lord. He spoke to himself.
That's
and in
good.
those moments, I have to speak to myself what is true. That's because good. I have to speak to the feelings that I'm experiencing. My feelings are saying something, so I got to speak to those feelings. I'm feeling sad. Well, I got to speak to that right now, right? I got to speak to the feelings that are coming and overwhelming me. So to answer the question about depression, for me, I had to, number one, I had to speak to myself what is true over what is feeling. Lord, I know you love me. Lord, I know you love me. Lord, I know that I'm blessed, because your word says I'm blessed with every spiritual blessing the moment I place faith in you. Lord, I know my feelings are overwhelming me and making me sad, but I am blessed. I am blessed. And then on a practical level, this is just practical level. force your smile.
Mhm.
Force your smile. I know it's like, I'm not telling you to fake your smile with people. I'm just saying practice the smile. Like, it's not faking it with people. I'm not saying that go in front of people, but allow your countenance to begin to trigger what you
Yeah.
are feeling internally. Allow
There's
your
science that
countenance.
backs that up.
Yes. So for me, there, in those moments, I'm like, I am the head and not the tail. Lord, you love me. There's something about this that can change your mood. There's something about this that can snap you out of that
So
moment,
true.
right? And then the second thing that really, really helped me in that time was calling someone up and just telling them, listen, man, I feel like this. And you might not be able to do that all the time, but you are able to do it in the times where it's like overwhelming, where it feels like,
Yeah.
oh, I think this is getting the best of me, you know?
Hmm.